Hello everyone, John Maher here. This is your Grass10 update on the dairy edge. So, it has been some week for grass growth when you look back at the figures at almost 90 kilograms of dry matter per hectare growth on average. And I suppose this level of growth hasn't been seen in a long time. I suppose on the other hand though, grass supply has increased a lot on dairy farms with an average farm cover now of 750 kilograms of dry matter per hectare and over 200 kilograms of dry matter per livestock unit. And I suppose as a result of those numbers, the pre-grazing yield has gone back up and is well over 1,500 kilograms of dry matter per hectare. And the demand is around 60. So when you have growth in close to 90 and the demand of 60, then there is going to be surplus grass. For the record, the diet was about 16 kilograms of grass per cow per day and about 3 kilos of meal. So looking into the figures a bit more, the predicted grass growth rate is well above 70 for the week ahead, but rainfall is also predicted to be quite high, with most of the country going to get about 1.5 inches of rain in the week currently, especially towards the weekend. And there will be 2 inches of rain, I suppose, on the western seaboard and the northeast corner. Dry matters are running around 15 or 16%, just for the record for those who want to know those numbers. So looking at the grass supply story in more detail then, 50% of farms have a farm cover well above 190 per livestock unit, with an average farm cover of 800 kilograms of dry matter per hectare. And the pre-grazing yield for this group is about 1,800. So simply put, like the animals are going into the wrong grass. It's just too strong. We also have now landed in the middle of the main stemming part of the season for ryegrass swards. Looking at the other end, then 25% of farms have an average farm cover of about 600 or lower. But look at the pre-grazing yield then for the middle group, which is about 25% as well. Their average pre-grazing yield is almost 1,600. When you get growth rates of 90 or 100, like the grass ahead of the cows is going to, grow by 300 in the space of about 2 days and maybe even a bit more. So things are changing fast, I suppose, to put it mildly, and then we have to kind of react to this. So the real challenge here is with 75% of the farms in long grass or wrong grass the chances of grass quality being right are very much reduced. And anyway, unfortunately, the way the surge in growth has come, grass has got very, very stemmy in many, many paddocks around the country. Now, some of this is caused by the surge in growth. Some of it is also caused by the legacy of poor weather conditions and poor grazing conditions earlier in the year. It's also notable, I suppose, on travels that I do, that some paddocks look very, very hungry, and with very, very high growths, that will burn a lot of nutrient, especially nitrogen, because the growth rates are so high. It would also be ideal then, when you look at the numbers on what levels of growth is there, to use a compound fertiliser, including sulphur, to try and address this massive burn of nutrient, and to use a product like 29-0-14 plus sulphur, or a compound with phosphorus in it. But look, not every farm has a phosphorus allowance, and I understand that, but using a compound fertilizer would help address this grass quality challenge as well. When the plant comes under some sort of stress, be it weather or nutrient, its a tendency, especially this time of year, is to turn reproductive very, very quickly. And when you see growth rates of 100 a day, and we do the numbers very, very quickly or close to that, by right you should be on a 14, 15, 16-day rotation, but a lot of people are a lot closer to 20. So it's no surprise then we're entering the wrong grass, entering stemmy grass. Where the P and K indexes are lower, looking at one paddock on one farm during the week, it was obvious as hell that this grass was definitely stemmier, even though the paddock beside it had good indexes, and it was easy to do the comparison. So dealing with the surplus now is the challenge here, and that grass that the cows enter determines their performance, the recovery of the paddock, and the subsequent quality. And this stuff that's being grazed at times that's just too high in pre-grazing yield has a lot of stem in it. that needs to be addressed. So the target is to try to return to 13 or 1400 kilograms of free grazing yield of grass in front of the cows to optimize the performance of the sward and for the cows. As most farms have a surplus in grass supply or are grazing the wrong grass, this needs to be dealt with. Um, so the primary place I suppose we'll direct most people to do is to try and take this grass off as surplus bales and not waste feed. Many people are tight in size supply as a result of the spring that we've had. So the preference is to turn this surplus grass into silage. Now the weather conditions are a bit tricky. I don't deny that. However, there's flexibility required here to take out the surplus bales. Um, the primary objective here is to try and get the grass back growing properly and to get the recovery going quicker. So, you know, to get a period of days together to make bales is not going to be possible. So, what I suppose we're suggesting here is to cut in dry conditions and bale within 12 hours. I know it's not perfect, but at least it's addressing the grass surplus, the grass quality challenges, the quality of the grass for the next time round, cow performance. That's what you're trying to do. Now, the growth is still predicted to be significantly outstrip demand for the week ahead. So, we're talking grass growth in the 70s and for the week ahead. With that in mind, we're going to have to try and deal with this grass surplus, and we can increase the demand on the farm by replacing meal with better quality grass, and take out the surpluses. And maybe some farms should consider reseeding and therefore increase demand that way. However, to keep an eye on all this, you need to walk the farm every 4 to 5 days. And what you're trying to do is target an average farm cover of about 60 kilograms, 650 kilograms of dry matter per hectare, or a cover of livestock unit somewhere about the 160, 170 mark, and probably a rotation length, given the growth rates predicted to be in the 70s, of somewhere about 18 to 20 days. Looking at the fertiliser story, as I said, grazing fields should be followed in rotation, probably with a compound product that includes sulfur. Paddocks that are cut for silage and come back into grazing rotation should probably get slurry every 4 bales to the acre is about 1,000 gallons of slurry. Lime application can be considered as well because the weather is going to be broken to wash the lime off. Um, so, to replace the nutrients that's lost from the bales needs to be kept in mind, I suppose. Looking at silage then for second cut silage, you're talking about 2,000 gallons of slurry or 2 bags of 0730 type product is required for the P's and K's. If there's no a P allowance and no slurry, you're looking at like a strong bag of muriate of potash, which is not 50 per acre. Don't forget the sulfur, that should go with the nitrogen, which is required about 8 to 10 units per cut. So products like 38.07 will supply enough sulfur when applied to get about 65 units of nitrogen out per acre for second cut. If there's slurry applied, then that fertilizer can come down a bit, particularly where there's I suppose rain involved, if that's all right to say, because it'll just wash the slurry into the ground. When we look at reseeds, then I suppose the weather has brought them on a lot. We've had heat, we have rainfall. Weed controls are just around the corner for those, if not already started, for those sown in April. You're trying to target the docks mostly, and when they're about, on average, at €2 coin size, I think that's the best opportunity to control the weeds in the reseed. There are farms who are heavier or later in nature in the year, and they could look at taking out paddocks now for reseeding, and the target is about 10% of the farm for the year. So, looking at our feature farmer then for this week, John Payne, who was the Pasture Progress winner for Longford. John is milking about 243 cows. The current diet of the cows is about 18 kilos of grass, 2 kilos of meal, which a lot of people are doing. Currently milking about 24 litres at 3.75 protein, 4.67 fat. To say, like a lot of other people, his John's protein was higher, but grass quality has brought that down a bit, which is another reason to go and fix the pre-grazing yield when it's wrong. Saying that, John is grazing 1400, but you can still get some level of stem even grazing 13 or 1400s. To be honest, but the risk of the stem being a huge proportion of diet is much lower when you get to the right pre-grazing yield. So John's figures for the record: grazing 1400 kilograms of dry matter per hectare, farm cover of about 600, grew 74, has demand set at 75, up the stocking rate to 4.15, and has a farm cover of 145 kilograms per livestock unit. John has cut out the surplus paddocks for bales. There's 2 paddocks to be cut out this week. He's 135 bales made so far this year, and first cut was completed last week. But the growth rate for the farm was 74, but the growth rate on the recovery paddocks was over 80. So, to keep the correct grass in front of the cows, for John, 35% of the platform is either out for silage or reseeding, right? And that's just to make sure that the animals go into the right grass by increasing demand on the farm in response to the growth rate that's there, right? The second cut, just when we are talking about that, is getting 2,000 gallons of watery slurry per acre and 60 units of per acre of a nitrogen plus sulfur product. And the grazing paddocks are currently getting a half bag of 38.07 per acre. All right. Just on the reseeding side of the story for John's farm, the 3 paddocks were reseeded on the 1st of May. They were limed at sowing. They're getting 30 units of nitrogen now this week per acre. And looking now to go spraying in the next 7 to 10 days, depending on the weather. So that's where John is at. He's put a massive effort in to try and bring the surplus grass under control. It has had an impact on his protein, like many other farms. But you have to try and address this and get back into the right grass, which John has done, particularly on surplus bales. Right, a few bits and pieces before we finish off here. Farming for a Better Future is the Johnstown Castle Open Day on Wednesday, 10th of June. Grass10 are there doing the grazing demo, but the main aim of the day is, or the theme of the day is innovating for healthy soils and clean water. I suppose looking at demonstrating how to build resilient soils, improve water quality in all our farming systems, to be honest. And that kicks off on Wednesday, 10th of June. Last piece of jigsaw then, just if you'd like to hear more from the Grass10 team, subscribe to the Grass10 weekly newsletter, which is available on the Grass10 page on the Teagasc public website, and the link to this newsletter is also available in the description of the podcast. We'd like to thank the sponsors of the Grass10 campaign who continue to support us: AIB, Grass10 Agro, Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine, FBD and the Farmers Journal. This has been your Grass10 update in what was a wicked week for grass growth, and I will talk to you all next week when we'll hopefully get grass back under control and enter the right grass for the cows to perform well and grow grass well.